Foreign Minister Nyanti, thank you very much for giving us a little bit of your time this morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. So let me begin by asking you, Foreign Minister Nyanti, how do you see Liberia in West Africa, especially where we've seen quite a number of challenges, where there have been military coups? The region is or has been unstable for some time now. How do you see the Republic of Liberia, your country, in the midst of all these?
Well, firstly, thank you for addressing the question and referring to Liberia as the Republic of Liberia. That within itself means a lot. And as a republic, a democratic republic, Liberia stands now as a beacon of hope for democracy in a very volatile and unstable region. And Liberia recognizes that. President Joseph Boakai recognizes what that means. It means that we have to sustain our peace. We have to lead by example. We have to demonstrate that the oldest republic can and will be an example for the rest of the sub-region and even for the continent. Looking at the fact that the continent has seen a lot of crisis, Liberia wants to be and Liberia will be and continue to be a beacon of hope for sustainable peace and sustainable development.
You know, U.S. House of Representatives and other well-meaning Liberians have called for a war crimes and economic court. The president signed an executive order for that. How is it going so far? Because a new executive director was recently appointed by the president. What does your government want to do about this? Because a lot of Liberians, as you know, have been calling for it.
It's true. Many Liberians have been calling for it, and those who represent Liberians in the legislature, the lower house and the upper house, have all signed on to it unanimously. They have agreed that we should have a court that will ensure that there's justice, ensure that we address our issues, because we had a truth and reconciliation process. We had a commission. The recommendations were never implemented, and a lot of people feel that we have not had closure. And in order for us to move forward as one people, we need to have overwhelmingly the larger proportion of the population feeling as if their issues have been addressed, that their trauma has been addressed, that the pains that they've suffered have been addressed. And as a people, if we don't address it, if we don't look at how all of us have managed to cope through these years of pain, how all of us have had, some have had to flee, some are still in exile, some don't feel safe coming home, some are at home and don't feel safe. And with all of these different aspects, including those who are perpetrators, we have victims, we have perpetrators, all of us together as a people need to address it head on in order for us to heal, but most importantly, for us to never return to war. If we can address it head on, if we can look at ourselves in the faces and say to ourselves, this is where we went wrong, we had issues, we had problems, we had divisions. We obviously had divisions because it resulted in war. But the way to solve our issues for the decades, for the centuries to come, will never be war, because this is the cost, the consequence of war. And we as a people choose peace and want to remain in peace, but not leaving anybody behind in the process, making sure that everybody feels like they've been heard, and making sure that everybody feels that their issues have been addressed.
Madam Foreign Minister, what about concerns about using the process to victimize others or to single out others, witch hunting others? What should the process look like transparently to ensure that there's transparency, there's accountability to address impunity, but it will not go after certain specific people for obvious reasons? Some of them say that perhaps the government want to use this to go after them or critics of the administration. How do you address this concern?
What I would say is Liberia is not an isolated case. There have been many countries that have had wars, and many countries that have successfully had a process that led them to a conclusive end where everyone feels as if they have been heard and there's been a transparent attempt at justice. We have examples all over the world, including on our continent. We have Rwanda, we have South Africa as examples. I served in a country, Nepal, that had war. And in all of these instances, you must be looking at truth and reconciliation. You must be looking at reparations. You must be looking at all the pillars of transitional justice, because this is about transitional justice. Our transitional justice process is delayed. And so because we're not implementing it at a time where it was fresh for everybody, at a time where the perpetrators and the victims were heightened in terms of the desire for either one or the other, either for us to only have a TRC and walk past it, either for us to just have, let's not do this again and sort of shake hands, or whether victims wanted reparation and so forth. It's been a long time. It's been 3 decades since we had our conflict. And people who did not experience the war, and there are lots of them, many young people did not experience the war. Many young people don't even know what it means. And so you have different perspectives, different viewpoints, depending on where you are in that whole journey. But ultimately, I can guarantee you, President Joseph Boakai is not after anybody. He's not seeking to witch hunt anybody. What he's seeking is for closure. And what he's seeking is so that his administration will leave a legacy of healing, a legacy of justice. And that's what he's trying to do. And his administration, all of us are fully supporting him. And the wonderful thing is that you have other branches of government that have fully endorsed this. And so it's not President Boakai as one person going after War and Economic Crime Court. It's the legislative branch of government, it's the executive branch of government, and judicial. And as a people, holistically, we'll be looking at best practices. There are lessons out there to learn. And we'll be looking at how we can learn those lessons. And I will continue to say it should be victim-centered. It should be looking at the victims. And I'm happy that I've had the experiences with that. In Nepal, as the head of the UN, I was able to lead the advocacy, bringing the international community together, the victims of the conflict, and the parties to the conflict together to address the issue of reparations. And I'm glad to say that before I left Nepal, victims have started to receive reparation. We have to look at reparations. Who requires it? What should it be? But we have to acknowledge that people have been killed, people have been hurt, children lost their parents, children became orphaned. There was pain. Women were gutted. Women suffered all kinds of abuse. Women were sexually abused and mistreated, and so were some men. And all of that pain and trauma is resulting in what we see today. We can't talk about the issue of at-risk youth and at-risk men and the issue of crime. We can't talk about it in isolation of the war. These are consequences of a traumatized people. And so if we want Liberia to truly be transformed, and we want to be the beacon of hope that we already are, and we want to sustain that, then we must address the issues of war.
Looking at the restoration process, as the foreign minister, how do you lead the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in this restoration process?
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is the first ministry. The Minister of Foreign Affairs is also Dean of the Cabinet and is an advisor to the President on foreign relations and external relations and so forth. And this has everything to do with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. First of all, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is that link between the outside world and our administration. And so engaging the international community for support. Engaging in part of the reason why I'm here in DC, engaging the international community to support President Boakai's agenda in trying to achieve justice for the people of Liberia. Ministry of Foreign Affairs also has a responsibility to articulate the fact that this administration, the outside world needs to know that this administration is keen on repairing the image and rebranding Liberia. Rebranding Liberia in the context of who Liberia has been to the continent and to the world. Liberia has been a pioneer for so many democracies. So many democracies had Liberia as a supporter, standing side by side with them. Many freedom fighters of the continent had Liberian passports. Many freedom fighters sought refuge in Liberia. We're founding members of the Organization of African Unity, which is now the AU. And actually, we have to correct that history because the first meeting was in Liberia, was in Nimba County, and we're working on that, making sure that we now take our rightful place in the Committee of Nations. We're founding members of the League of Nations, the United Nations. We were the ones that provided logistic support to South Korea during the Korean War. We've been there for others. We've played our part. And we, as Ministry of Foreign Affairs, want to make sure the world knows that, but make sure internally that our young people know that and understand that this proud nation that once stood as a beacon of hope is doing that again, and all of us must stand tall.
Is Liberia committed to the tenets of democracy and rule of law, the values of democracy, transparency? And when you engage, especially countries in West Africa undergoing quite a bit of challenge, including coups, what are the talks looking like as the Minister of Foreign Affairs?
Well, firstly, let me say, when you're talking about Liberia and democracy and whether or not we're committed to it, I will share with you something, a quiet moment with the president. And I wasn't the only one in the room. And he was talking about our National Elections Commission. And he said, I need to make sure the National Elections Commission is a commission for everybody. Mm-hmm. It's a commission that will abide by the rules and the tenets. And he cracked a joke and he asked me, does the so-and-so party have an office in every county? And that was his way of saying that at the end of the day, even the elections we've had in the past, have we upheld every aspect? You know, have we ensured that we were abiding by all of the rules? And he said to me, he intends to ensure that going forward, the National Elections Commission will be strengthened in a way where our elections will not be questionable. Our elections will be even better. We've had successful handover of power. Proud to say we have now 2 former presidents in the country. Mm-hmm. President Sirleaf is there, President Weah is there, alongside President Boakai, and we're all living together peaceably. That's what he's looking forward to. And so we're committed to that as an administration, working under the leadership of President Boakai. We're committed to that. And I can assure you that after the 6-year period that President Boakai is leading, you will see improvement in our democratic principles and tenets in terms of how we exemplify it, how we lead by example, but not only that, how our policies and our strategies and how our plans reflect that as well.
Do you think Liberia's democratic journey as you have it now can be a lesson in West Africa and by extension across Africa, especially in West Africa where you are having some of these military rules in some Francophone countries?
Yes, and to be honest with you, that's why Liberia has taken up the challenge of working with our sister countries to strengthen the Mana River Union. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, particularly, I'm leading an effort for bringing together all of the foreign ministers, all of the finance ministers, and those who are responsible for the Mana River Union entities in the countries, the 4 Mana River Union countries, Cote d'Ivoire, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, looking at how we strengthen our collaboration for a stronger ECOWAS. And a stronger ECOWAS means a stronger AU. So Liberia is leading that effort. I'm glad to say that the 4 countries were all collaborating and standing together. And this is the way forward, collaboration and partnership. No one country can do it alone in the current context. And we need to be pulling others up where we can and others pulling us up where they can.
Liberia has been a significant player with ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States. However, critics say that ECOWAS, although it helped Liberia in the time of need, neighboring country Sierra Leone in time of need, ECOWAS has become dormant, a big dog with no bite. Your response to that?
My response to that is I disagree. If ECOWAS was dormant, the role ECOWAS played for our peace and for advocacy for peace in the sub-region wouldn't be where it is today. It hasn't been perfect, but it's not dormant. ECOWAS can be stronger, and we have a responsibility to make ECOWAS stronger, all of us. And that's why we're pushing the Mana River Union, strengthening of the 4 countries, because you have countries that all of us are fragile in different senses. And so if we can work together to strengthen ourselves, we strengthen ECOWAS together, we'll be a stronger economic community. And we believe that we're really working hard on the issue of free trade, implementing the protocols of ECOWAS within the MRU. That's part of the agenda for the MRU meeting that's coming up. And this technical meeting will set the agenda for the Heads of State Summit later this year in Cote d'Ivoire. So we'll be hosting the ministers in Monrovia next month in July. And hopefully by, I think, October, the Heads of State will be meeting in Abidjan. All of this is towards a stronger ECOWAS. And by the way, speaking with one of the presidents in the Mana River Union, the question came up, what about the issue of the ECO, the one currency?
Right.
How do we strengthen it? And that's a discussion that will happen at the MRU meeting in the next few weeks in Monrovia. So we're looking to boost ECOWAS, and I believe that a stronger ECOWAS means a stronger Africa, and we need a strong Africa in the world right now.
You are here in Washington. I understand you have a series of meetings. What is the major reason why you're here, and what do you expect to take back home?
So the major reason why I'm here is to do exactly what I'm doing with you now, to let the world know Liberia is ready for business. Liberia is ready to rebrand herself and portray the right image of Liberia. There's some people who think Liberia is still in war. So this interview helps us to get the message out that we're not in war. And actually, I can tell you, please world, know that we have one of the top 10 best waters for surfing in the world. Surfing waters. And so we're open for business, we're open for tourism, and we want to create an enabling environment for foreign direct investment. We want business people to know that they can do business in Liberia in a credible way. We want them to know that the framework that will allow them to have the right environment to prosper and to create jobs for the Liberian people, that's being created. And so the visit here is to speak to those on the Hill, who have a role to play, all of the different stakeholders, including the media, including the White House and others, to say Liberia wants to engage in a way that demonstrates leadership by example, but we also need help, we need support, we need partnerships, and that's why we're here.
So specifically, what measures has your government implemented to create the enabling environment? You talked about enabling environment. What measures have you put in place to ensure that those who decide to come in will come in and there will not be impediments in their way, and then two, that their investments will be protected, because sometimes there are conflicts. How will the conflict be resolved, and are the institutions transparent and independent enough that resolutions will be peaceful and amicable, and that those who come to put their money in Liberia, their monies will be protected?
These are all priorities of the current administration, and President Boakai has made it very clear. Anyone coming to do business in Liberia and a condition of bribery is given for them to do business, that will be dealt with head on. It's not going to be tolerated. We want business people to know that they can come and engage, and there will be no cost for engagement outside of the law. In addition to that, we're creating a one-stop shop to look at imports and look at how we move goods through the ports of Liberia to make sure people are protected and they're not extorted in terms of how they bring in their goods into the country. We're also working with the judiciary on strengthening the justice system and making sure that people have access to justice. Businesses have access to justice and their investments are protected. It's all work in progress. But already by the very strong statement the President Boakai has made, he's made it very clear that corruption will not be tolerated, and definitely for sure, those who are coming to do business in Liberia will be protected. This is important because we have had challenges in this regard, and we want to make sure that those who are coming with their resources, that they feel safe. And when the President himself gives you that assurance, it means a lot. And so we are really excited about the prospects. We've been engaging with companies in different parts of the world. In Asia, in the Middle East, we've been engaging with companies. And we're happy that even the U.S. is encouraging engagement. And other partners are looking at how they help us with this framework, to strengthen the framework that will ensure that we can create jobs for young people, create jobs for those who want to return home, and make sure that all of us work together to build Liberia.
What about the Liberians in the diaspora, especially those here? What has been their engagement? Because some people suggest that their plan to go back home, to invest, to transfer technology or their technical know-how of the knowledge they have acquired here could be a leading point for some of these investors to also come home. How are you engaging them?
Very good question. We have a very robust plan for the diaspora. We've started already as a whole of government approach. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs leading with the Ministry of State that has a diaspora unit, also with Ministry of Commerce, the National Investment Commission, Ministry of Information, Culture, Affairs and Tourism, all of us together working on how we engage the diaspora to be part of this journey on our transformation. We will be having a diaspora conference this year, October 4 to 6 in DC, here in DC. But it'll be an all of Liberia diaspora conference where it'll be hybrid. We'll be connecting around the world with Liberians who are interested in understanding the National Development Plan process, how they can tap into that. We have a lot of organizations, Liberian organizations around the world, organizations linked to different counties and ethnic groups and so forth, and making sure that all of them find space to be part of Liberia's development. This is an agenda that's important for the president, and I'm proud that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is leading on this. Look forward to hearing more about this from us. We're coming out with some schemes and some plans to encourage Liberians to invest at home, but also to encourage others to invest in Liberia as well. So this is one that excites me. I'm lit up about it because Liberia is where we all belong. Even if we don't physically live there, Liberians love Liberia, and they need an opportunity. All Liberians need an opportunity to be able to give back in a way that can contribute to the national development in a structured way. And so we're looking at different funds and different ideas around what we can do, and we hope to flesh that out better when we have the diaspora conference.
Yeah. So if I want to come to Liberia, before we go, Madam Foreign Minister, if I want to come to Liberia, what should be my expectation?
If you come to Liberia now, your expectation should be that we challenge with infrastructure. We're challenged in many areas, including healthcare, education, and so forth. But what you find right now is hope. You find hope, you find high expectations, and with high expectations, people are ready to also contribute. You should expect you will be engaged in terms of how you can be a part of our development. We'll be asking you which companies you can bring, whether your company is ready to invest, but also you can expect that you will be received by people who are eager to partner, people who are eager to see Liberia become what she used to be, but even better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.